right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to day three, one of our later sessions of day three of Build with Mapbox 2025. My name is Chris Wong, Head of Developer Relations here at Mapbox. And this session is Drawing Carbon Boundaries, How Mapbox Powers Land Eligibility Analysis in Earthshot's LandOS platform. Before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. Sessions are being recorded. You can watch them in the Zoom lobby for all past sessions. They're available immediately. And then eventually they'll all end up on our YouTube channel, so you can watch this content continuously after we're done with this conference. Captions are available, so make sure you click that Show Captions button in your Zoom interface. You can choose multiple languages. Submit questions through the Zoom Q&A feature. So there is a chat, which I welcome you to participate in, leave comments in as the session is progressing. But questions, you can post them in the Zoom Q&A. It helps us keep them a little more organized. And we will have some time at the end to ask the speaker for some Q&A. And finally, you can discover all the rest of our build sessions. We have 2 more exciting days of this conference. And you can check those out at mapbox.com/build or just peruse them in the Zoom event lobby. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Emily Kauffman, Senior Software Engineer at Earthshot Labs, who's going to tell us all about the LandOS platform. Take it away, Emily.
All right, should be good. So thank you for the intro. I'm really excited to be here and I appreciate all of you tuning in. It's nice to hang out with some fellow Mapbox users. So again, I'm gonna be talking to you today about drawing carbon boundaries in this new platform that my company's been working on. And I have to apologize, I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm gonna try to get through it. But yeah, really excited to be here. This is a community session, so I'll be sharing about how my team is using Mapbox to turn user-drawn GeoJSON into actionable insights for climate impact. We just released the platform LandOS publicly about a month and a half ago, and we're really excited to get people using it, and we're showing it off. And we've heavily used Mapbox as part of the front end. So I'm going to be able to tell you a little bit more about that today. So this is me. Specifically, this is me measuring some trees in a park near my house. I was generating some training data for another application that my company is working on called Biome, and not really related to this, but I just wanted to show off one of the cooler aspects of my job, getting to be outside and measuring some of these trees. So what do I do? I'm a software engineer at a place called Earthshot Labs, and Earthshot's overall mission is to restore and protect nature at planetary scale. And we're currently doing that by supporting land stewards who are considering developing carbon projects and just really want to do so in a scientifically rigorous way. And so we're building this platform to enable them to do that. So LandOS, geospatial platform for starting nature-based carbon projects. So I haven't always been in the environmental space. I'm actually pretty new to it. A few years ago, I was working as a software engineer on the FX250, which was this 500-pound autonomous floor cleaning robot. It was a small robotic startup out of Pittsburgh. And I didn't really know anything about localization or LiDAR or honestly robotics, but I just found it so fascinating. And I thought it was interesting that you could drive this robot around the perimeter of a warehouse and it would figure out where it was in space and then be able to make these cleaning maps and then operate autonomously. And you can see the little map that was displayed as you did this. And I just thought it was very cool. And it was just this entirely new way of software that I had never really experienced before. And unfortunately, the pandemic hit and the startup closed its doors. But this interest I had in spatial data and visualization had really been sparked. So fast forward a few years working at different places, and I found this incredible opportunity at this place called Earthshot to build a platform for scientists to model carbon projections, um, do lots of things, visualize geospatial data, just a million other really cool things as part of the carbon development process. And so for me, it was this return to a really strong interest that I had had in spatial technologies, and also let me move into this environmental industry that I had been wanting to get involved in for a while. So with that, Talk about LandOS, the platform that we're building. So we needed a way for our in-house scientists to be able to work a lot faster. We wanted to automate a lot of the computations that they were doing out in the world. So like, looking at specific land, they would do different assessments and analyses to get data to model this. And we needed a way that we could recreate this. And so that was the spark for building LandOS. And a version of it has been used internally for quite some time. Allowed the team to move a lot faster, saved many hours in a week. And then just in the last couple of months, the company decided to turn this publicly and let other people make use of it. So the workflow in LandOS is pretty simple. You can create a project and you can organize your polygons. You can upload them if you've made them somewhere else, or you could draw your own and then perform some type of computation, some type of analysis on the polygons, and then eventually you'll be able to build a report based on that. So I do have some videos here, but I'm going to try to do a live demo. So give me a sec to get switched over from my backup plan. All right, so you should be seeing now, I'll just double check, yeah, the projects page of LandOS. So I have one made here for the demo, but if you wanted to make a new one, you go up, add project, you can put in a little bit of information about it. So if I click on here, we'll get to the interesting part. So now you should be able to see this map. Now close this out, move my face. Okay, so we have this Mapbox map here. I have one polygon already drawn on the map. And you might recognize a few other Mapbox features like, the search box up here and some map layers. So this one I have here, I'm going to show you that you can upload a polygon. So if you have a GeoJSON that maybe you created somewhere else, or you just have one saved for an area that you are already familiar with, you can go in here and we'll do upload test. I'm gonna let that upload, and you can see kind of two things happening. So one, you'll see it appearing over here, and the second part is it kind of zoomed into it, so it kind of centered it on the map there. And so if I log out, I can, or zoom out, can kind of see both of these polygons next to each other here, and I can hover over them. Um, so that's the one method of getting a polygon on there. And you can kind of do some cool stuff with it, like if you didn't want to see it on the screen, you can show and hide that. And we're passing a visibility to the actual like layer using the Mapbox components. This is a Next.js application, so we're using a lot of Mapbox, the React package for that. Um, so you can toggle that, you can see them turning on. You can also zoom specifically to one, and this is kind of that fly to feature, and we'll fly to the bounding box of the polygon, and you can dive a little bit more into it there. We have, the zoom in and out buttons here. That's also part of the Mapbox React package. Yeah, so that's the upload way to get polygons onto your map. And so the reason you might be doing this as a project developer is say you own a couple sections of land and you want to draw them all on here so that you can do analysis on them. So you have those two on there. Now say you want to draw one. And this is one of the places I want to point out a lesson that we learned. And that was that nobody could find the default draw button. No one could figure out how to actually add a polygon to the map. So we made this toolbar with some informational text here, basically saying, hey, go click this button. And when you click on it, it enters this drawing mode. And there's another little message here saying what to do. So maybe I want to zoom in here, and I own this place. I'm just clicking around. We're using Mapbox Draw here, those tools. And then I can click N there, and we have a polygon. So I could just go and I could hit save, and then I would give the polygon a name. But we also support having multiple areas. So maybe you want to have like a multi-polygon. So I could go in there, do something like that. As soon as I finish that, it knows I've completed that polygon. So now if I go in and I hit save as, you can see some of the content has changed because now we're saving a new one. So we'll call this new polygon. And there's some messaging there to let them know that they've drawn multiple areas. So I can go ahead and save that. And so now I'm getting all these polygons on the list on the map here. And I can start to, apply some different analysis or put some layers on it and start to really dive into what the application is meant to be used as. So another feature here are these layers, which are pretty cool. They're all toggled off by default, but these are some global map layers that somebody might find relevant when they're looking at their areas. Like if you want to see what the slope is, you can apply that on here. Maybe you want to look at this world cover map on top of your polygon. Um, if I wanted to maybe put on these eco zones and you wanted to see what the livestock was as well. So we have these different maps. You can't see this one now because it's layered, so you can just drag it up over top of eco zones, and now you can see what this livestock map is saying in relation to the eco zone. So I think that's pretty cool. So these are just kind of like default ones that we might have saved. We've added this layers tab here where we're just going to keep adding to this, but these are different types of layers that you might need, and you can toggle them on. So one I think is pretty cool. Actually, I already have it added here, but you can add different satellite layers by the year. And if you save that, some backend stuff happens, and then you have it over here. So if I turn one of these on, you can see that map overlaid. And I'll move this one down so they're in order. But you can kind of turn these on and see how things are changing as you go through the layers. So a lot of being able to track how land has changed over time, excuse me, is really important in carbon development. So that's one map way that you can do that. You can turn some of these off and kind of configure your workspace to do what you need to do. All right, so the next thing, actually one more thing, I wanted to show off the search box because I do think it's really cool. I think this is a fairly new component, the React search box. So if I wanted to put in something, we'll do Riverview Park. This is my place of interest to answer the question. It's gonna fly out and it's gonna zoom right into this park and display a marker there. And this package was really awesome. I was able to set it up in, like half an hour, just installed it and did a little bit of configuration. So big kudos to the Mapbox team for their work there. And we're definitely using that. If I want to pop back, I can, click on here and it's going to take me right back to the polygon to where I was working. So, yeah, that's the main project view there. Definitely using a lot of Mapbox. So, the next thing I want to show you is we can actually dig into these polygons a little bit. So if we go into, we'll go, yeah, we'll go to the one that I just drew. And this is going to take you to something, it looks very similar. And this is a detailed view of the polygon that we just drew without, any of the other polygons showing. And you have a slightly different sidebar here and no drawing options. So we're just kind of about to run analysis on it. So if you click this, this is going to pop up this modal, and it gives you the option to run different computations on this GeoJSON. So my talk is taking user-generated, user-drawn GeoJSON and being able to perform analysis on it. And this is kind of when you get to that step. So we've drawn the polygons that we want to learn more about, and now we're going to run some computations. And so this one, Terra Vista, this is one of our more popular ones. It was created by our in-house scientists, and it's the first tool that's used when you're trying to assess whether some piece of land could be eligible for this type of carbon project, ARR. Excuse me. So whereas before maybe they would have to do this type of analysis for every single new project that we were assessing, now we can do it in this automated way. So you just click Run Analyses, takes a little bit. They're added to a queue. Some special magic happens on we have an application called SimEarth that does really powerful work on these computations. And so that's all happening based on the GeoJSON. It depends a lot on how big the file is, I actually have one done here that I might switch over to just because this one will take a little bit. So I'm going to hop back in here and go to this complete example. And you can see I've run quite a few quite a few computations in here. So now I can go into this view report button. And this is where we can let people actually build out what they want their report to be. So you could see these computations are over here on the left-hand side. And I'll take a few of these and minimize them so you can see better. But you can just drag and drop these little, we call them widgets, but it's like a standalone section on the screen that has information that was computed based on the polygon that you drew. So all of these are going to be really specific to the GeoJSON. So if you're trying to assess whether this area, would be a good fit for the project, you can read a little bit more about like this executive summary, different scenarios. You can scroll down. There are just a whole bunch of them, and you can resize them, excuse me, and build out what you want your report to look like. So the one that's probably most interesting to this crew is this little widget. And now you can see that we have this tile map applied specifically to the polygon that was drawn. And you can see what this classification is tropical savanna. Um, I think might have a couple more maps in here. Yeah, here's another one. This is the WWF ecoregions. And if I log into or zoom into here a little bit, you can see that it was able to calculate what the ecoregion would be for the polygon that you drew. So this whole workflow is just kind of drilling down into these different polygons, these different land areas, and just getting information from them and displaying them in the tile map. So it's a really cool process. We have a bunch more in here. This is one I can drag in. This is some of the data. I think, yeah, it is applying. It's kind of hard to see there. If you wanted to add a whole template, maybe you just want to see this development, I can replace existing widgets and apply them there, and then see some reference material and a little overview of the development journey. So we're just taking all of these tools that used to take scientists a long time and had to customize a lot for all these different projects and just making this really easy drag and drop way to get a lot of that similar information. So, um, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another really cool. We got some cool graphs. Gotta show off the graphs. And yeah, so throughout all of this, we're generating these computations. They're, scientifically rigorous. I couldn't explain to you how all of them work. And then they create these custom analyses to evaluate project feasibility and do a lot of forecasting, and then eventually monitor the carbon performance. So let me switch back to my slides real quick. What's next for us? We learned a lot about the drawing tool once we started getting people looking at it, and mainly people were having trouble knowing what to do with it and how to find it. So we've been tweaking tweaking all of these little pieces of the user experience to just make it a little more intuitive. And we're just going to continue to tweak that for a while. The second one is we had some trouble, well, we're having a little bit of trouble with performance. So on that project view, we had all those massive maps, and loading them globally is taking a while. And at one point, we were getting a little rate limited from Google Earth Engine. So we're figuring out kind of how we can make this a little more performant. And I'm definitely going to be watching a bunch of the Mapbox talks to see how all of you are doing that as well. So, and then we'll just continue to expand, adding our new computations, ability to export to PDF, a lot more of those fancy parts of the process. And yeah, we're really excited to get this out in front of people. And our team has been working really hard. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about this. And if you guys have any questions about it, we have a couple minutes, I think.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. That was a great demo, great presentation. I'm curious right off the bat here, like where do these reports end up going? Like how do they become actionable? Are these for like grant applications and things like that?
So would say it depends, but a lot of what our company does is consultants for these land stewards that want to see if they can even have a shot at doing a project. And so we'll run these reports and kind of have an assessment for them. And then if they're like, okay, yeah, we want to try to do this, then we'll be able to help them all the way through the process to actually get certified. So a lot of this for now is we're using it internally, or for people who want to actually like report back to a landowner of some sort.
And it
I
seems
think,
like you're like automating analysis that would have taken many hours of a data
yeah,
scientist time or an analyst time. Okay, great
yeah.
stuff. Andrew asked a question in chat. He's actually a coworker of mine here at Mapbox, but he says, "Gorgeous product." I agree. He said he spun up a simple project in your platform, but what UI framework are you using? Just out of curiosity.
UI framework. Okay, so we're using Shad, CN UI. And we're using a SAS starter called Achromatic that I've been a huge fan of for a while, and we've pretty heavily tweaked it for our uses, but it came with a lot of like the authentication and parts built out of it, so we were able to focus a lot more like on the workflow. Um, and then yeah, we have pretty cool colors. That green color is one of our company color palettes. I think it's called Lichen, so makes it look nice. We actually have a dark mode. I'm a definite light mode user, but a lot of people do like messing around in the dark mode.
Yeah, it looks great. It's very clean, very
Thank
elegant,
you.
and a lot of information packed into a small space for sure. Well, Andrew asked a follow-up question. Can you talk a little bit more about your stack? So we know Mapbox, we know the UI framework. Are there any other like good libraries or tools, any other backend stuff you might want to share?
Yeah. So we have this service, Simmer, that I can't talk too much about just because I'm not actively involved in it. But we interact with it a lot, and it's what's actually running the computations and returning that. So yeah, Next.js, we are, oh, React Grid. Actually, that's a good one to show off. If I, oops, let me go to here. If I go back into that example where I was dragging around all of the widgets. I think that's React Grid layout,
Hmm.
and it's really cool. Like you can just resize these, and it handles kind of the engine that regenerates the layout, and it's pretty responsive. I'm trying to think what else. Um, React Grid, a lot of drag and drop stuff. Yeah, we're using quite a bit, but I can mostly only talk about the front end. I know there's a lot of Python, typical in the in data analysis, but
Sure. One more question. I think this will be the last one. Can the search and draw reference the Mapbox polygons? I'm not sure what they mean by that. It says
oh,
I can see search and then select based on Mapbox boundary as a useful workflow. Oh, I guess they're saying, can you just grab a polygon by searching for it?
yeah, I don't think so because
No, I mean, search
yeah,
box.
it's just, checking for places of interest there.
Yeah, well, search.js will return a single point coordinate, but it won't return the polygon. In theory, you could connect some of the polygon, like if you search for a town boundary or a state boundary or something, you could get back a polygon if you use Mapbox Boundaries, which is a paid, polygon data set that we sell.
Mhm.
So I think that's in theory it would be connected, but definitely not available out of the box with search box, which we're using right now. But
Yeah,
uh,
that's an interesting question though.
yeah. Okay, I think we're at time. So I want to thank Emily for this awesome presentation and for sharing, and hope everybody who attended got something out of that. And some very inspirational UI UX. It's always what we build around the map that makes the map much more important and meaningful. So
Yeah.
enjoy your time at Build with Mapbox. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Bye.